I'm talking about youth ministry, and I've got a bunch of friends that are in. Jay Wright, good to see you. Ryan, good to see you. Rosie, good to see you. Went to college with her. So she's going to be joining me both on Instagram and Facebook tonight, and we're going to be talking about what does moving back into the youth room look like. We have been separated. We've been away from each other for a while, and now we are coming back. But what does that look like, right?
Yeah.
What does it look like to be back in church, back in our spaces again? And you know what, real quick, I want to have you introduce yourself to everyone, and then we'll jump forward from there. So for those that don't know, I'm Will Cumby, youth pastor at the Fountain of Praise here in Houston, Texas, on that south side near Missouri City a little bit, still in Houston. Doing ministry for 17 years now. Absolutely love it. And what I have learned is that there is growth in community, and you will suffocate by yourself. So what does the old African proverb say? If you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, take someone with you. Well, folks already talking about my beard. Yes, my salt and pepper.
Come on, beard.
It's
Come
called
on,
Three
beard.
Kids, man.
Come on.
I want to introduce to some and reintroduce to others a wonderful soul, a powerful preacher, and just a solid woman of God, Miss Patrice Greer from the Potter's House, Fort Worth. She is live, man. Patrice, tell us a little bit about you, man.
Man, I love Jesus. I love to lift him up so he can do the drawing. My focus is to make Jesus famous. And everything that I do, everything that I say, I just want to be his conduit. So however he wants to do that, that's me in a nutshell. I come from Chi-Town, Chicago, Illinois, even though there's an S on the end, I try to tell everybody, stop saying that S. That's incorrect. It's Chicago, Illinois. And from the south side, for all my homies out there, I got some youth pastor friends out there in Chicago who are going to be checking this out as well. And I just hope and pray that this speaks to somebody. And so come from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, Big Ten, U of I. Yes.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Been doing student ministry since, after I was a teenager, I transitioned into youth ministry.
After you were, so what was that, like last year?
Man.
Man,
I wish.
You wish, right? We all listen. If it weren't for these gray hairs, y'all would think I was 19. But so, man, let's jump into. I got a couple friends that are online. Matter of fact, I didn't know if you knew this, man. My family's from Gary, Indiana.
Oh,
man,
that's family. That's family. That's right down the way.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Right down the way.
Good stuff. So for those that are joining the call, we are tonight talking about what does homecoming look like, right? We know, for those who've gone to the HBCUs or maybe schools that aren't HBCUs, we know that homecoming is probably one of the most exciting parts of the year because, hey, it's the chance for everyone to come home.
Yes.
But the reality is, as exciting as it is to come home, I think there's a bit of apprehension as well.
Yes.
Where it is maybe home might be exciting, but I'm not sure I'm ready to go yet.
Yes.
So, man, I want to talk to you tonight, man, and really share with those who are watching, viewing across the nation. How do we
return?
How do we return?
How do we come home? I think the first thing is, like you said, we have to acknowledge that there is some apprehension amongst our young people. Some of our young people are like, even today. So if I could tell you, I just left a surprise celebration for my pastor. Big ups to Pastor Patrick E. Winfield II. He should be on another surprise call right now. Surprised by family members and loved ones saying happy birthday. We joined together on the parking lot and did a celebration at the church. However, there was still some apprehension in the air. Everybody had on masks. Everybody, we were loving on each other, but from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
There was this exhilarating love in the air, like an overflow and abundance of love in the atmosphere. But at the same time, man, there was still we gonna elbow it. We gonna elbow it.
Right? I love you.
That's what we gonna do.
But then, in the urban culture, man, that's a big deal. The fellowship time of service is such a major aspect of what we do. And now that we can't, do you think that, how is that going to affect the way we do service?
So I think we have to prepare. I think it's all in the preparation. We already know that every storm has an ending, right? So indeed, this tumultuous storm pandemic is going to come to an end. So already, if I could challenge youth pastors right now, we should be in prep mode asking God, what do you want to do with our return? Because it's inevitable that things will shift and change. Yes, technology is the big wave right now because this is our means of communication. This is the conduit to funnel information back and forth. However, when we get back, one thing we have to acknowledge is that there is definitely a need and a cry that we're going to have to address. Young people want Jesus.
Yeah.
When we return, they don't want technology. When we get together, that's just like today. When we got together, young people were you can see it in their eyes. You can see the adults. It's in their eyes. They're going, man, like if I could just join together with you and just, man, connect with the God in you, so to speak. When we get back, I think there's going to be somewhat of a revolution of the church. I think about like this year of the young people who are graduating this year.
Right.
My nephew is one of those, Caleb Greer. He's one of those, and he's graduating in a couple of days. However, he was born in the midst of a pandemic. He was born in the midst of crisis. They were born during 9/11.
Right. And so
the
now
crew
you
that's
have this,
graduating,
yeah.
this same crew that was born in 9/11 is now graduating during a pandemic. So they are born, if I could say it like this, they are born to be able to traverse through adversity and crisis. So this generation knows crisis well off. They know it big time. They're actually in the midst of seeing a nowadays lynching.
Wow. Yeah.
They're in the midst of seeing nowadays, like, some of everything. And so I think what we have to do is return to the Bible and really pay attention how during the Bible days, they actually, traversed through adversity and crisis and pandemics. Ezekiel had to traverse through that type of situation. There were moments where when like plagues were going on in the Bible and, all kind of stuff was happening, they had to learn how to traverse. But the key thing was talking to God, asking him, what do you want us to do? What do you want it to look like? I think it would be a disservice for us to return back to church and do it the same way it used to be.
Okay, so let's go there. We know that we are coming back home, but home or the return is going to look a little bit different. So my question here is, where do we start? When we talk about going home and starting service back again, in order. Okay, I'm gonna give you these things. Tell me in order, how do we do this? Who do we talk to first when we talk about it's time to go home? Here, I'm gonna give them to you. Church leadership, your ministry team, parents, students. Here are those four things. And for those who are out there, these are some conversations that you're gonna need to have going back in.
Absolutely.
In these four, put them in order for me, Pastor Greer. Church leadership, team, parents, students. Who do you talk to in what order?
I would talk to the leadership first. Okay. And that's because in the layout of how we're structured over at I would say anywhere, I want to hear from the head first. So I'm always looking to see, okay, Bishop Jakes is sharing information to Pastor Winfield, Pastor Brady, Pastor Sarah, all of them. From there, they translate information down to us. They pass it down to us as the staff and leadership. From there, we pass it to our actual leadership teams. So that would be our youth on our level, youth leadership. From there, we would definitely connect with our parents, letting them know what our plan is, because parents want to know, hey, what does it look like? If my kid is coming in, I need to know that my kid is coming into a safe environment.
Right.
What I don't want is my kid to come into an environment and end up with COVID.
Yeah, with COVID, right? That makes sense.
Because the kid is going to come in going, I just want to see my friends. I just want to be around. I want to be in the church. We are back.
Right.
Yes. Scratch all that. The parent. The parent is going, okay, tell me what you're going to do. It's no different than I have a few buddies. One has a barber shop. And the other day he went live on his pages, just like we're doing right now. And what he did was he just went live to show people what it looks like, what he did to prepare the shop.
Okay, so let's go there.
Come in.
Let's go there. So we understand the first part is we need to talk to our church leadership, right? Letting them know, because we don't want to dive back into having service without getting the leadership of our pastor, right? And saying, hey, here's what are your expectations? Because we can have a set of expectations, but if they aren't in line with the leadership of the church, we are operating on an island, right? So that's the first thing I want to tell youth leaders out there is before you start your service, you need to start a conversation with your pastor or the leadership of your church to say, hey, what are your expectations for us? Yes. And even if they haven't given you expectations, by having these calls, you're saying, I at least have something to bring to the table.
And can I challenge you there?
Yeah,
can I challenge you there? I know there are some youth pastors who struggle to have conversation with their pastors. I know it. I know that because I hear it in some of the consultations that I have with fellow, youth pastors. But if I could tell you, I would challenge you during this time to not do this by yourself. You started out on, not being an island alone, with that whole statement. This is not the time to operate or function by yourself. This is a time that, man, this is where you knock your pastor's door down and say, hey, I need to know so that we can do this together. I want us to be saying the same thing. And if you're the head and let's say I'm the mouth, you're the head, I need to be conveying and saying the same thing that you're saying. We need to be on the same page.
Right. So this is not a time to be silent. This is a time to, hey, pastor, I need to talk to you. Hey, I need some direction. Because I think we do that sometimes as youth pastors. We'll just say, well, I don't want to bug him, so I'll just wait.
Yeah.
No, listen, this is the time.
I just do it myself. No, this is not time to just do it yourself.
Right. That's good. That's good.
This is a conversation. And this might be the opportunity to break some of those, I would say, some of those boundaries where sometimes it's hard to talk to pastors. I'll tell you this. Being a girl youth pastor, I've had to break past several boundaries, and I'm so glad that my pastor is who he is because our relationship has changed over the years, and now we're at a place where, man, it's like, pastor, so this is what's going on. This is what's happened. Can you help me with this? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? There are even moments where he'll say, okay, so what's on your thought? What's in your thought process for the youth? What are you thinking in this lane? So it's a back and forth dialogue so that we can come together and develop a structure for return so that we're not breaking young people. We want to build them when they return.
I like that. And I think that's something I really want to impress upon those who are listening, and make that time to dialogue with your pastor. Start the conversation, not with the, excuse me, pardon me. Hey, listen, we coming back and I want to make sure that I'm coming back correct. So here's the second thing that you said that really kind of sparked a thought in me is you said your barber or your friend who's a barber went and showed the room of what it looked like. I think that's the next thing that we should consider. We talk about, one, talk to our church leadership, two, talk to our team. But before we bring those kids into the room, we need to show the parents, hey, this is a safe space and here's what we're doing. You need to have that dialogue with your parents. If you do a Zoom call, if you do a FaceTime or whatever it is, and you say, hey, here is how our setup looks like. I feel like when fear is magnified by the unknown and the uncertain. So the way we quelch that fear is by giving them some honesty, right? We show them some things. Hey, this is what it looks like. And that's a good idea. I want to share that with you guys too, as you guys are looking to head back into your services is, man, consider doing that. Do a video thing and say, hey, before we come back, I want you to join me live. Let me show you what the room looks like. Let me give you a virtual walkthrough of what you will experience. Of what's going on.
Yes.
It's good.
Add it to your website. If you have a website, add that to to your websites, do Zoom calls, send it in the email, do as much as you can to bombard parents. If you don't have access to all of those things, send it in a text message, take snapshots, show your hand cleaning stations, because at this point we need to make sure we enlist like my brain's going blank. What are they called? Not
With
hand washing.
the hand sanitizing stations.
There you go. Goodness. Like playing charades.
Yes.
But having hand sanitizing stations so that we show that to parents. We also have glove stations. We would like for your students to continue in wearing their masks upon entry. We want to show you our chairs separated 6 feet apart.
Yeah. And
so they can see it's intentional. We want to show you that we have removed show them a layout of even what a mock service looks like. Do a fun commercial to show them this is the right way and this is the wrong way.
Good.
So like we used to do hug therapy at the Potter's House of Fort Worth, where we were intentional about hugging each other and touching and loving on each other. Well, in the beginning stages, we won't be doing that. We'll be doing away with those particular things, even though we want to love on each other in hugs. We want to intentionally show that, okay, when we do prayer, we won't be holding hands right now. There is still a way to touch and agree in the spirit without touching and agreeing physically.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's go to this next part. So we talk about talking to the parents, and then how do we get this to our students? We realize that our students need to know what they're going to experience when they come back as well. What technology do you recommend to share your resources with your parents and with your teachers? I know at our church, we optimize a program called Kid Check. And through Kid Check, we can send an email to all of our parents in one button, or we can send a text message to all of our parents at one button. So I do recommend that. Do the mass message to everyone up front, but then also do a FaceTime or a YouTube live or something that gives them. So what do you recommend when we talk about sharing with our students expectations?
So we have something called Church Community Builders. We call it CCB. That has become our love. And so Church Community Builder does all of the things that you're speaking of. It sends out information with one click, and it goes to the students, the parents. You can actually set up what demographic you want to send it to in your church and select and all of that kind of stuff. If you don't have access to CCB, do it simple. Simple is key.
Do
go ahead.
Survey
Go
Monkey.
ahead. Yes. Go on there and research just quick links that you can send mass text messages just to give them a link and a picture.
Okay.
A link and a picture, or a Zoom. A Zoom still works. There's nothing wrong with having that. But with students, because some of them are getting, I'll be honest, some of them are getting inundated with the technology piece. Some are like, oh my gosh, who'd have thunk? This generation is like, I'm on technology overload. Because they're online for classes. They're online talking to their friends. They're online doing church. And so everything is technology based. So one thing that I would recommend is, there are going to be some key moments. Like today showed us something really wonderful, if I could be honest.
Okay.
Being on the parking lot, separated from one another, was something that sparked something. And I'll tell you what it was. If we come together on a parking lot, there could be services all over. You can actually have chairs on your parking lots are far larger than some of the brick and mortar buildings.
True.
And you can space apart. It's getting sunny and nice outside.
So you can do the old school tent revival. Go to Home Depot, rent you some big fans.
Yes. Have you some fun outside, even calling together and saying, hey parents, this particular week, I want to meet up with you all. We want to do our first meetup. And it's basically just having everyone spread it out over the parking lot and actually sharing information just so everyone can be outside. You don't have to do everything on technology. You can still be 6 feet apart. Everyone can still come together. You can still space out. That's one key way to actually do it. Some people are saying, how can I do church? How can I do a full service? Well, use your parking lots. Let's go old school with it. let's go back and throw it all the way back to tent revivals. If you don't have a tent, it's okay. Go ahead and space your chairs out.
Yeah.
But I would say, to get the information to the students, make sure that it's fun.
Mm.
Now
you shared something with me today. You shared something with me today about mass messaging your students in a new creative way. I was amazed at it. Fire culture. For those that don't know who are joining the call, we are live with Patrice Greer, superstar youth pastor at the Potter's House, Fort Worth, and this little guy down here in Houston at the Fountain of Praise. But we are talking about what does homecoming look like, and how do we disseminate information to our students outside of Zoom? Because I'll be honest, I'm zoomed out, man. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm over it. But I still like it. I still need it. But you shared with me a way today to get my information to my students in a way that will immediately get them to open it. What was that?
Yes. Simply go to IG, get on your Instagram page, whatever message you have, go ahead. And when you get ready to click the link, and I see you, bro. I see some folks from Fire Culture are jumping on. My brother Ryan, that's my right hand, who does student ministry alongside me. I can't do it without him. I promise you I can't.
Man.
Listen, my whole crew. Shout out to the Jesus League.
Okay. Shout out to Ryan.
Yes. But the thing about it is, I see the kids. I see y'all. Hey, Kiera. Hey, babies. What's going on, y'all?
I know I got my kids in here. Hey, Kennedy and all you guys. Good to see you. Okay. Let's keep going, because we'll shout out our kids the whole day. Fire culture.
Let's get it. But real talk, like, one of the things, you just go onto IG, and when you get ready to link a picture or video to a story message, like you're getting ready to set up your story, instead of just sharing it immediately, go ahead to the second option and click send to. When you click send to, there's going to be like maybe the third option down. It's going to like tell you can send it to a group of people. It's going to say how many people, 21, 50, however many you want to send it to. Go ahead and shoot it out. It will mass send it out to so many people at one time. And if you want to do even more than that, go back and do it again. And just however many people you want to send it out to, it'll link it for, by itself. And you don't even have to pick and choose. It just does a mass message.
So I want to recommend that for you guys. Like, if your youth ministry has an IG page, whatever you do, instead of just sharing it to your story, share it to your story, but also go into send to. There's a little button on the right hand on the bottom, hit send to, and then it'll give you some options. Click that, and you can send it up to, I think, 50 people at one time. And so now it'll directly go to their box. And I don't know about you guys, but that little red dot will drive me nuts. And so I have to see what's behind the red dot. Hold up. What's behind the red dot? And then you'll be able to get all that information to them immediately. So let me get to this next part, and I want to optimize the time that we have here, because I'm gaining so much information. I want to ask you a couple quick questions, man. And this now we're gonna get into the hard stuff. This is gonna be hard. We're talking about going back to church, right?
Yes.
And your ministry has have you seen an increase or decrease in attendance? I know it's virtual attendance as opposed to actual attendance. Have you experienced an increase or decrease in attendance since the pandemic?
I would say an increase.
Okay. Why do you say that?
I say that because the young people are able to pull content from so many different sources. So where there are some young people who, as crazy as it sounds, love Facebook, that still weirds me out because it's mostly adults who like it. But that's the other plus side. My parents and the parent ministry love Facebook. So if I need to get information to them and tell them, hey, make sure your teenager jumps on, there are parents who are able to see the ministry now who knew absolutely nothing about fire culture, who are going, oh my goodness, check this out.
Right.
Pulling their kiddo to the TV. Like, there's a young lady in New York who now consistently, like, she jumps on every time. And prior to this, she knew she had a prophetic gift, but didn't know what it was called.
Wow.
I mean, like, learning about who she has become or who she's becoming during this pandemic has been amazing for her. She wasn't going to church. Her family had walked away from church. Mom and dad are now logging into the parent ministry information and logging into the women's groups, small groups, and men's small groups during the week because of it.
because of
So
it.
we're seeing things like that where clusters of families are joining in that we ordinarily wouldn't have been able to touch. And I think because we are not able to be face to face on Sundays, people are looking for a reservoir where Jesus is flowing, and they're
Mm-hmm.
going, give him to me. I need him. I'm in the midst of a pandemic. You got people who are like, I lost my job. I got people who are like, I've been with my kids all week. I don't know what to do. And while some make fun of that, there are parents who are really struggling with the whole, man, my kids are driving me, and nuts.
Yeah.
What do I do? Help me, give me something. And so they're like, if you could just give me Jesus for real, something that speaks to me so that I can make it through another week,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm connected to you through this, whatever this is, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok,
Right.
all of those things. Young people are seeing Jesus portrayed in a cool way.
And so we have to be cognizant of that when we are sharing the message. Just as in an education classroom, you can't just stand and deliver. You have to
Yes.
optimize the different levels of learning, whereas auditory, visual, all of those things, it's the same thing now. We must use the different mediums and not just relegate ourselves to standing behind a pulpit with a microphone, but now
Yes.
using these several platforms. And if you aren't comfortable with it, that's okay. One of the first tips that I want to give you guys as we're heading back is you have to get a relaunch group. As
Yes.
you are going to relaunch, you cannot relaunch by yourself. And the bigger the boat, the bigger your team needs to be.
Yeah.
So if you know you're pushing, you have a 2,000 member youth ministry or whichever, don't try and relaunch by yourself. That's just
Yes.
yacht. There's a reason that yachts have a crew. It cannot be run by
Yes.
itself. And this
Yes.
ship that you're in is going to require a lot of relationship in order for this
Yeah.
ship to sail properly. And that's the first thing is you have to get with your crew. So 2 weeks out before you start, you need to start with your crew
Can I
of
tell you
having a
something
relaunch crew.
there?
Yes. Go ahead there.
Our executive pastor says this statement all the time, and it makes all the world of sense and difference. Listen, he says this: don't be a single point of failure.
That's good. Don't be a single point of failure.
So when you do things by yourself, you're a single point of failure because you have nobody else to rely on. You have nobody else that can help you walk through this.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's traversing with you. If you, let's just say, God forbid, you get sick, who's supposed to continue making sure that the ship continues to sail?
Yep. Being a leader is more than
Jesus,
being in the front.
the gospel has to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way that it continues is by making sure that you have a team that knows exactly where we're headed. Make sure the vision is plain and clear so that they can run with it. But by all means, enlist a team that you can do it with. Don't do it by yourself and put yourself in isolation trying to traverse these waters as you return back to ministry.
Yeah.
If you don't, can I be honest? It may kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why. It's like Blockbuster. You have to be with this type of with the pandemic that's going on. Blockbuster went out of business. Blockbuster movies,
Mm-hmm.
they went out of business because they didn't know how to traverse through transition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when everything began to go into the direction of, like, Redbox came about, you could go up to the Redbox and get all your movies. But then all of a sudden you had Fire Sticks, Apple TV, you had all of these different things. Amazon started doing, everybody started having all of these different direct access opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they should have transitioned, but they couldn't hang because there was somebody who was a single point of failure saying, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to stay with our video VHSs and our DVDs and we're going to be fine.
Right. And I like to put it,
they're gone.
They're gone, man. We have to constantly evolve as ministry leaders.
Yes.
I like how Miss Divas Diamond said, no man is an island. We look at
yes.
Toy Story 1 looks nothing like Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4.
Yes.
And so the point is, it's still the movie Toy Story, but it kept evolving. And the reality is that if you're not evolving, you're going to get left behind. And so you're constantly looking at, how can I do what I do better? How can I take the content that I have and recreate it? I love my mom because one of the things that she would do when we were younger is she would take leftovers and make a brand new meal. And we were like, this is amazing. She's like, yeah, it's the same thing we had yesterday. And the thing is, the gospel is Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and
Yesterday,
forevermore. He doesn't change,
absolutely,
but how we deliver
absolutely.
it, and get it into we are constantly evolving. They say that the human being, like every 6 seconds, they shift. So you have to have this quick mentality of, okay, look, I got to move again. I got to move. I got to move. I got to change.
Yeah,
And not
yeah.
changing for the sake of changing, but strategic changes. So don't
And
just
don't,
move for the sake of moving, but have strategy.
yeah.
Yes.
And don't trip out. That's my dog that you hear growling in the back, just in case. But don't shun the creative ones, I would say.
Yeah.
And know your swim lane. Stay in your swim lane on your team, because everyone is going to be necessary in order to come back appropriately and minister to the kids. There's going to be someone on your team that can minister to the kiddo from the hood, where there's going to be somebody else who can minister to the kid on a team who's super academically, refined.
Right.
But not one person can speak to everybody. And there's going to be somebody, if you don't know how to, let's say, do the swim lane of creativity, like with YouTube and all the channels and all the stuff, then enlist some young people. It's okay during this pandemic to go ahead and enlist them so that you can get their creative edge. One thing I love about Bishop Jakes is he hires people who are experts in their lane, because in those lanes, he's not good at it.
He's not good at it. I read a quote the other day that said, you can tell how trusting a youth pastor is by the type of mic that they use in service. And I said, what does that mean? It said, if they have a corded mic, that means they don't trust the people in the sound team. If they have a wireless mic, there's a whole lot of trust going on, because you got to make sure they got no batteries in there. They can mute you at any point. And I think there's a lot to it, is that you have to go to a wireless mic type of ministry, saying, I trust, and understand that youth ministry is the breeding ground of your next amazing preachers, your next business owners. And so there's going to be a little bit of error in that. But, what I heard one thing that say, success is going from failure to failure with enthusiasm. Is that understand that there will be some mistakes that happen along the way, but you know what? I have the enthusiasm that I believe in where we're going in this.
Yes.
My youth pastor, her name was Janice Jackson, man. She gave me the mic as a teenager. I don't know why. Trust me, I wasn't about nothing back then. But had she not given it to me as a teenager, would I be 16, 17 years in as a youth pastor today? Right?
She saw the anointing early.
I believe that's what that is. So here's a question though. Do you think coming back will be different for urban ministries as opposed to suburban ministries? Do you think the homecoming will be different, urban as opposed to suburban, right? When we talk about coming back, I think one of the things that we tell youth pastors is this: do a partial opening. What does that mean? When you say, hey, we're back, you can't put it in such a way that you ostracize those whose parents aren't comfortable with bringing their kids back to church. Oh, it's going down. It's so live. If you miss out, you're missing everything. Well, what if my mom says, I can't come? So does that mean
he's not
I'm
ready
not good
for
enough?
me to do this yet?
Right.
So what I would say is this: be ready to continue in doing both, which is why you need a team. You can't work this by yourself. You need a team of people who are already preparing to do an online, translation of this service, while you might be live in a particular area. Because there are going to be some parents who are reluctant to bring their students into the building. And I would say this: just like we prepare, let's say, for technology and things of that nature, one thing we need to remember is don't omit preparing your language as well. Because your language, when we return, could actually ostracize a kid. You could make that kid feel like, well, man, since I didn't make it today, maybe I don't belong there anymore. Maybe I'm not, so we got to be mindful of our language. It's no different than we have a lot of millennials are like, when the senior citizens speak to us, they say things incorrectly. And it's like, they're trying to tell you they love you. It's just the way that they're used to actually saying it out of their mouths is a different language. Well, I'm saying to those of us who know and are hearing, let's prepare our language.
Yeah.
Let's prepare what we need to be saying, what that sounds like. How do we omit the language that will ostracize a student and in fact pull them in regardless of if they're online or if they're actually in the brick and mortar building, in the sanctuary,
So we know they're coming back, and we realize there's a difference when coming back urban and suburban ministry, that there are some nuances in what it looks like coming back. And the reason I say, yes, there is a difference, urban and suburban, is the context of what you're teaching from. And you touched on it by understanding their language. But one of the things that, I lost it, but yes, I remember now. These kids are traumatized who are coming back to church. And you must realize that when they come back, yes, we want to party. We want to celebrate the fact that we're back. But before we start jumping on these legs, we need to address the wounds, before we need to make sure these legs can stand before we try to jump on them. And so I really want to challenge that too. Yeah, go ahead.
Don't miss out on the Holy Ghost.
Let's talk about that. Unpack that.
I say that because I could write all day about this. This is crazy. There are so many adults who underestimate this generation's ability to really connect with Holy Spirit.
Okay.
I think sometimes that because the youth ministry can be in a different space than the adult ministry, sometimes the adults just go, oh, they over there patty caking. Yeah, my baby loves Jesus. Yeah, my baby. No, I mean, I believe that this is the greatest time in the world to return and really, really tap into Holy Spirit. When I say that, what I mean is don't teach them fluff.
Yeah.
I don't have any other way to say it. Away with the fluff ministry.
Yeah, they don't need it. They don't need any more icing. Enough icing will make you sick. Like they need substance.
If I've been through a pandemic and was born in 9/11, I don't want your fluff. I want Jesus.
Woo! So you're saying don't come back with the praise party. Come back with a listen. Let's talk about the stuff that you've been dealing with. Let's get to the meat.
Give me him. I came here for him. I didn't come here for your game playing and your. I can do that when I go home.
So when they come back to service, we need to give them meat. We need to say, listen, I'm glad you're here. Now let's talk about what you went through. Let's talk about what you're going through. Let's talk about what's happening next. And then we can celebrate. Well, it's not time to celebrate. Let's talk about what's going. We need to give them. I like that, Ryan. Give them Jesus, and then we can give them a party later. I love that. That's good.
Yes, because I'm seeing young people. Can I be honest with you?
Go ahead.
I'm seeing young people already who love a lock-in over Six Flags.
I can see that.
I'm seeing young people who love tapping into the prophetic, and I'm talking about them prophesying to their parents and ministering to their families more than they like to connect on the Instagram.
I like
so
that.
I'm telling you, they have the ability to literally acquiesce through this particular time just by way of connecting to Jesus. If you give them Jesus and don't play around with them, don't toy around with them like they don't understand or like they can't comprehend. The devil ain't playing with them right now. They comprehended all that's going on with him.
Yeah.
They see it. Real talk. Like somebody just posted it, straight talk, like for real. Give them Jesus. Don't try to sugarcoat it, or make it pretty and cute. I kind of look at it sometimes how sometimes young people are like, man, you realize I'm going through something for real? You realize I'm really hurting right now? I get that we have funny moments because it's young people. Undoubtedly, you're going to automatically have funny moments. But the reality is, and somebody just said my thought, they are sponges.
Yep.
And the more you give them, the more they grab hold to.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to remember, that they are those who are sponges. They will take in as much as they can receive. And I promise you, you get them connected to Jesus now, you don't have to worry about their college life.
Yeah, my brother Nate said the devil ain't playing, so why are we?
Exactly.
Why are we? And I'm thinking, and you're right, we can have fun. At the end of the day, youth ministry, yes, there's a very good element of fun in it, right? But the reality is we got to give them the truth, because once they say that a million people will walk away from their faith in the next year, right? And I think more in the urban sector as opposed to suburban, because I'll be honest with you, we just do Sunday and Wednesday and that's it. And in suburban sectors, there is mission trips, there is lock-ins, there are retreats, there are these things. And so we're good with Sunday and Wednesday. And I think we've got to get to a point where we're saying it's more than the Sunday, Wednesday celebration. I've got to show you what this daily walk with Christ looks like. That
I need to get you
got to
hungry.
get off the I heard Montel Jordan said there's a difference between a stage and a platform.
Yes.
And so there are some that are just seeing it as, stages are what you perform on, platforms are what you launch from.
Yes.
And so he's like, we've got to stop treating the youth ministry stage or the youth ministry where we're preaching from as a stage, but a platform like that. We are launching students, that we are bringing them to Jesus in a new and creative way. And that's going to make the difference. It's absolutely going to make the difference.
Can I tell you, the main thing is make them hungry. Make them hungry. So much so that they're not hungry. They're not hungry for us. And they're not hungry for personality. They're hungry for him.
And the reality, even with that, is that I was telling someone the other day that they're going to come, and my kids at my house, right? 8, 4, and 3, they eat all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, just snack monsters. But before they go ask for a restaurant, they're going to go look in that refrigerator. Yeah. What do I mean by that? Your students are going to come looking to you for some information before they go looking anywhere else. So when they get to you, you might as well have something to say. You might as well have some food. And stop here. Catch this. Don't compare what you're doing in your ministry to what the other ministry is doing.
Absolutely.
They may have a bigger budget. They may have more students coming, but are you going to negate the 2 or 3 that you have because you want the 4 or 5 that they've got over there? No, you reach that 2 or 3 that you have and you give them the best of what you have. And what we must understand is that when you reach that 2 or 3, that 2 or 3 are going to talk to 2 or 3, but you've got to be intentional about what you have in front of you. They're coming to your refrigerator before they go look in somebody else's. And yeah, theirs might look prettier, might look better, but if you have food in your refrigerator, serve it.
Listen, can I tell you this? So I am currently finishing up my curriculum called A Chair, a Table, and Jesus. The reason why is because when I first started out with youth ministry, we didn't have lights, cameras, none of that stuff. I had a chair, a table, and Jesus. That's it.
Yes. That my old church, Abundant Life Cathedral, love it dearly. When I was there, I was my praise and worship team was a speaker and my laptop. I had to pull the chairs out every Sunday, me and my volunteer, and I would have to preach that service. Then I had to run back to the other campus, the main campus, to close out that service and run back and then teach a second service. But I didn't have lights and I didn't have a microphone. My microphone was me. And would you believe I still have some of those kids that are like, man, them was the best days ever. And so let's not get caught up on technology and forget that the real thing, I heard one preacher say, the best part of your message should be the scripture. And so it ain't the lights and all that stuff is cool. It's supplemental. But, if you a pretty plate with ugly food is still ugly food.
if you miss him while you setting up your lights and your cameras and all of that, you got nothing.
Yeah.
You got nothing. And the reality, Ryan just said it, we had absolutely nothing but a chair, a table, and Jesus. It was a little small space, and we started with a few students in that space till it outgrew the space. And it's literally, to this day, our focus is making sure that we stay humble and remember a chair, a table, and Jesus, and that he's the one that provided us with the creativity and the anointing all at the same time.
One of my
to be able to speak the language of the youth.
Someone was saying that their daughter was asking about their 8-year-old was asking about coronavirus and depression from that. We can't come in there, just like, hey, come on, let's praise him. Let's talk about, how do you feel right now? Let's have a slow down. Let's start there. Slow down. When you get in there, slow down. Let the moment breathe. There's something about silence that you can hear. And so don't do all the talking. Sit down. Have a moment when you get back into the sanctuary. We've got about 6 minutes left. And I really want to just tag a few things, get your thoughts on them. If you're taking notes, I want to give you guys this 5 tips for heading back to church as youth ministry. Number 1, get a relaunch group, right? As you're relaunching,
Yes.
get you a group, meet with your pastor first, meet with your team to get a relaunch. So you know that how you're going to relaunch. You need all hands on deck, all information available, because the last thing you want is a parent to show up and you're the only person that knows what's going on and you trying to do something and you're not there. Number two, document and review. Document and review. What does that mean? As you have had things happen during this time of pandemic, quarantine, you've been away, what has been working for you? What hasn't been working for you? Document these things and then review them. If you are just doing things without reviewing them, one of my favorite quotes is, you will repeat what you failed to repair.
Yeah.
You will see that stuff happen over and over again if you're not reviewing it. Number three, I want to give you is don't get caught up in the initial numbers. Don't get caught up in the initial numbers. As you are coming back to youth service, if you only have half of the students that you had when you started, you at least have half. If you don't have the numbers you had online that you have in service, that's okay. You still have the online capabilities. Don't get caught up in the initial numbers. Like you said, a table, a chair, and Jesus, it'll grow. You just have to keep feeding it. Number four, I want to give you is rethink your setup. Rethink your setup as you're going back in. Distancing. Are you going to have all of your students wear masks? Will you make masks mandatory? Will it be mandatory for your volunteers to wear masks? Those are some things that I want you to consider. Also, I want you to consider doing maybe an e-bike. Something that we're doing is we want to know who's going to be there. So they call it tracking. I forgot the word, but it's kind of like coronavirus tracking. So you will know who was in service. So consider doing an e-bike so you can register those who are attending service. Gloves, someone put on there. That is something to consider as well. Here's the deal. When it comes to safety, there's no such thing as too far. There's no such thing as too far. And then the last thing I want to give you is rebuild morale. Rebuild morale. That's one of the things that you want to look at as you're heading back into service, is rebuilding their morale. Like you said earlier, they were born in 9/11. And they're missing out on their prom, their graduation, and they're having a pandemic. They've missed their friends. You're going to have to start with their heart. One of my other favorite quotes is, if I can get your heart, I can get your hand. So if I start with your heart, then I know I can get your hand to do the other things that I want to get accomplished. What are your thoughts? As we anything from you? Or we're 3 minutes left. What do you have to say, man? And thank you guys for joining on. If you have a question, send it in. We got about 3 minutes left. Let us know your questions. Once again, we're here with the great Patrice Greer, Reese, as they call her. She's got this thing called Riding with Reese. It's kind of like comedians in cars with, and phenomenal woman of God. I love it. And don't let the smooth taste fool you. Don't let the baby face fool you. She got a grown woman word from the Potter's House, Fort Worth. But listen, we're not even about titles today. We're just talking about like this reality of what does it look like homecoming. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts as we wrap up here, man?
I would just say, just remember to keep it simple. Make sure that you come back with some creativity. Just like you said, make sure you have a team of people who are prepared to assist you through this. You want to make sure that they're prepared to traverse with you. Also, make sure you seek out your pastor. Ask him or her, what is it that you are looking forward to accomplish here with our young people? What do you foresee before we actually go any further? And the main thing is, keep Jesus at the center of it all.
At the center of it all.
Give them Jesus. If you don't give them anything else, you may not have all of the nuances, all of the, accoutrement, lights, camera, action, all of it. You may not have, like he said, do not compare yourself to anyone else. Literally focus in and ask God, what is it that you want me to do with this group of young people? What do you want me to say to them? How can I minister to them and be effective? Because what you got to recognize is you're building a fortified group of young people who can build the next generation. My brother Phil Galindo from North Dallas campus just jumped on here too. We're doing something called Revolution 2035, which focuses direct on that very thought, teaching them how to be prepared for the next generation who might have to face a pandemic in 2035. So you don't know what they're going to have to traverse to, but we just know this: prepare them, give them Jesus. And so I will say this. I was telling you earlier, I am preparing every week to talk with youth pastors, youth leaders, youth directors whomever. If you would like to connect, I would love to share with you all the tools and tips that were given to me via, just studying and researching and things of that nature. If you need any help, I would like to avail myself. You can either go to PG_the_champion, shoot me a message and I'll respond immediately. Or either, find me on Facebook, Patrice Antoinette Greer. That's me. I tell everybody, when I first started, people didn't share with me how to do it, how to traverse through anything. I was literally going, God, what do you want me to do here?
Yeah, yeah.
And so because of that, I always want to avail myself and be a conduit so I can help someone else along the way. So I'm making myself available. You need anything, let me know. And we're actually going to set up a Zoom for youth pastors to be able to dialogue in the next week. We'll be doing that next Thursday at 8 p.m. So I'll send that to you. You can put that out. And everyone can jump on, whether they're in youth leadership, if it's for your team, or the youth pastor or the youth director. We just want everybody to come together and be able to get as many tools and tips as possible.
I love it. I love it, man. Listen, don't die alone.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to reach out. You never know who will respond.
Yes.
You send them it. Listen, I know it's a horrible term, slide into the DMs, but man, go in there and say, hey, listen, I'm a youth pastor from such and such a church.
Type a message.
I got a question. What's the worst that can happen? They don't respond. Listen, you will still be the same person, whether they and look, you ain't got, and here's the deal. You don't have to see them tell you no to your face. They send it to your Instagram.
Yes.
You're okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And if they say no, go to somebody.
Go to somebody. Keep asking. There's a reason it says ask, seek, and knock. If look at this. Oh, okay. I promise we're done. I promise we're done. You look at when Jesus told the disciples, listen, it was Palm Sunday. He said, listen, go get the donkey. The donkey's tied up in the city. He said, if they ask you, tell them it's for me. There were several layers to them just getting Jesus into the city, right? They had to go into the city. They had to untie the donkey. And then they had to deal with somebody, the owner, questioning them about what they're doing. You are going to experience some traverse, you're going to experience some trials. You're going to experience things on your efforts of saying, I've got to get Jesus into the city. And even though you are on the right path, you have a purpose sent to you by God that does not make you, what's the word I want to say? You're still susceptible to trouble. Even if you are doing the walk that God has called you to walk, there will be some trouble. But I challenge you, man, stay focused on the goal. Stay focused. Absolutely. And dying coals, if they're put together, they will create a flame. If you barbecue, if the coals are dying, you shake them things up, put them together, flame comes.
Flame.
Get with somebody else, man. You might feel like you're losing it. Get with somebody else, man, and say, listen, together we can do things. Somebody said earlier in the chat, 2 or 3 are gathered. Let's gather.
Don't do this by yourself.
If the Bible says
not do this by yourself,
you'll be in the midst. Why are you mad? Because you only got 2 kids. He's in the midst of the 2 or 3 right there. So
if I can tell you, my brother, I'm seeing my brothers jump on here as well, Adrian. But listen, can I tell you this?
Look, we're supposed to be done with this talking. We still.
No, let me tell you, I got some brothers and sisters who have been rocking with me since the beginning of starting ministry. We've been doing this together. And I just want to introduce them to people who are in need of real help, like a real help me moment. If I'm talking about, and we're not charging nothing. Let me say that.
Call us, connect with us.
We're not charging a dime for this, not at all. I'm talking about jump on the Zoom. I would like to connect you with some people. One of my brothers, Adrian Butler, is on here right now. He just said something a second ago, too. Yeah. He said, somebody finna drop some gems if they say right. Absolutely.
Man, that's it, man. Stay connected, man. Do that. Reach out. I'm a resource as well. There's a lot of other programs I want to tell you guys. Urban Youth Workers is a great resource. There's an awesome leader, CEO over there by the name of Tommy. Really good guy. Another guy named Sean Finner. Alexander James, really good people. Reach out to them. Like I said, the worst they can tell you is no, and they probably won't, but do the appeal. I'll try to put the notes in the chat afterwards, let you know as you're going back in. Talk to your church leadership, talk to your team, talk to your parents, Talk to your parents. Do the virtual Zoom call or whichever. Show them what the space looks like.
Yes.
Let them preview it before they actually view it. And remember those tips, man. Thank you so very much for this call tonight. My mom has been commenting the whole time. She loved it, and my mom's serious. She good folk, but we're gonna connect. The Fountain of Praise and Potter's House Fort Worth. We're gonna find a way to do something together.
And Potter's House North Dallas.
Yes,
I'm telling you.
Listen.
Phil is on here right now. And
look, I just saw Youth Ministry Booster just get on here too. That's another great resource. Check out them. Yes. My guys Zach and Chad over there. Some solid people, man. Oh, my mom just said hi to you.
Hey.
Yes. Sparkle. Shout out to Sparkle too. But yeah, we definitely want to get Sparkle? You guys to check out Youth Ministry Booster. There's some great resources. Dallas and Tulsa. Okay, we'll connect Dallas and Tulsa together.
Let's do it. Everybody. Let's do it.
I gotta go through Dallas to get to Tulsa. So I'm with it.
Listen, we can't do camp, but we can do some other stuff.
So let's talk about that. We really want to encourage you guys. We'll put the notes out there. And do you have anything you want to close us out? A scripture you're studying? Something to kind of give these people something to say, hey, listen, I want to bless you on the way out there. Love you too, Youth Ministry Booster. Something you want to drop on us, like something, what is your benediction? What is the benediction today?
The benediction is, man, be a conduit, make Jesus famous. It's not about us. It's about him. So however we can do that, do that. And even if it's you that's in need in the moment, get what you need so that you can continue to be a reservoir to somebody else. Amen. Just telling you, it's just like that. Sometimes I think, can I just say this to some youth pastor who might be watching? If you're struggling, having a bad week, like my brother Phil and I were talking the other day, he had a rough week the week before last. I had a rough week this week. And I'm telling you, when you have a moment, tell somebody who can actually build you up and say it. Don't be one of those youth pastors or youth leaders who's like, man, I can't go to the altar. They gonna see me. No, you ain't gonna get no better if you don't go to the altar and get you some help. You need some help. Talk to somebody. So the way that I'm saying make Jesus famous is, man, make sure you even get you together. Make sure when you need a moment and you hit that brick wall, find somebody who's a reservoir who can pour into you. And then once you get built up, go and build somebody else up. My sister Pam Greer just joined on here, my biological sister.
Wow.
I love her dearly. She's one of those who actually does the building to build me up often. Okay. So when I hit a brick wall, I got somebody to go to. I got a brick. My bro Phil just popped up Proverbs 17:17. Have something you can pull on. My scripture that I go to all the time is Philippians 4:13, hands down. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That picks me up every time. Whenever I remember, my mama used to say the word can't is not a part of your vocabulary. It's a curse word because you're a Christian that says I can. So even when I'm kicking, rolling, screaming in the floor, I get back up because I can remember that I can get up because I have access to him. So let
your children see you pray. Yes. I think the reason that the mother who sent her kids to go collect the jars, the reason they didn't question it is because they saw their mama pray. And so let your students see you pray. Let them see you say, hey, I've struggled, because they know that if you can go to the altar at the position that you're in, then I can go
then they can know that I can go to the altar too.
Well, we're about to get kicked off. We got about 50 seconds left. I want to pray for every youth pastor and every leader that's on here.
Let's go.
And then we'll close. Father, I thank you for every person that was able to listen in on this call. I pray that you continue to download fresh insight, fresh ideas, but God, also connect them to community. Allow them to have friendships that will encourage them, that will guide them, that will show them that they are not in this alone. God, we can suffer by ourselves, but together with community, we can be successful. So God, we thank you for this time of sharing of information and knowledge. Help us to seek you first in your kingdom, because we know when we do that, the things that we need and the things that we want will be added. God, show us the way as we step into this new normal. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
In Jesus' name.
God bless you, sis.